Welcome back, dear core groups. I hope you're having a wonderful week and you got something out of today's sermon. Again, here's another one of those vows against the scribes and the Pharisees, the religious leaders, the disciple makers of the day. They were discipling all the people around, just teaching them of how to live, how to interact with God and how to live their faith life. And those are the people that Jesus is criticizing here in a way, because not about what they do, but how they do it. Where he starts off as listen to what they say, but don't do what they do. Because what they do is opposite or doesn't line up with what they're actually saying. See, their heart was in the right place. Even the Apostle Paul, he said, I am a Pharisee of family of Pharisees, but yet he was persecuting the church. So even though he thought, in the book of Acts, we read about it, even though he thought he was doing the right thing because in his zeal, and yet he actually did the wrong thing. And so even here, Jesus is just talking with the scribes and the Pharisees and says, you say the right stuff, but somehow you're not doing it. You're not doing the right things. And I think that applies a lot to us too, because we have to check ourselves in everyday life. In every circumstance, we always need to test our heart before God and make sure that we are right before God. Again, back to the scripture, Matthew chapter 23 in verse 25. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup and the plate. Remember, I brought this vase here on stage today. You clean the outside, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Greediness. I talked about this, me, myself, and I, just putting myself first, only ever thinking about myself. That's what Jesus is saying. It's like you take so much care of the outside, of how people look at you, of how people perceive you. You want to have the nicest seats in the synagogue, and you want everybody to greet you in the marketplaces with a title of honor. And yet on the inside, it's all about you guys. It's all about you. You don't even understand. And you tie up these heavy burdens and lay them on the innocent and on the sheep that just want to enter into a relationship with God. And somehow it becomes so big and so heavy for them. And you are not even having any mercy that you want to come alongside when you're supposed to help them carry their own burdens. And so it just doesn't make sense. What you say doesn't line up with your lifestyle. And so when he's saying all this, he gives them at the same time the clue of how to start the cleaning process. He says it's not about the outside, it's all about the inside. But here's the key. You don't clean from the outside in, you clean from the inside out. So what you do is you fill yourself with the love of God, with the grace of God. Remember the first one? We talked about how they were standing at the outside of the door. They have never entered into that God relationship, into the grace of God. They're still on the outside. They have never felt for themselves that cleansing, that presence of God. But that is the starting point. We can only lead people where we have been ourselves, right? When he calls them blind leaders leading the blind, we need to be there already in order to know what to do. And so we need to have this God relationship, and we need to have more of this God relationship. We need to have his love and his grace in our life. And as we do that, it starts cleaning the inside. We have the blood of Christ that washes. It forgives us. We can give ourselves to him, and he makes all things new. And once this renewal process is taking place on the inside, when nobody else sees it, this can happen in the prayer closet. It can happen in the living room. It can happen in the garage. It's just between you and the Lord. It's just this intimacy. That's when this cleansing is taking place. But maybe once this cleansing is taking place, you come out a different way than when you walked in. Maybe you walked in and you had so much stuff on your mind, and you had worries on your mind, or maybe you were crying about a circumstance, or maybe you were walking in angry. No matter how you went in before God, and you had him cleanse you. And the way that you come out, again, it's from the inside out. All of a sudden, the outside is affected by it. So maybe just take a time to share in the group a little bit about like an example, a practical example where you experienced that firsthand in your own life. When you stop focusing on the outside stuff, but just to be in the presence of God, just to receive Him into your life. And once all of this changed everything, even on the outside. Find an example, talk about it, and encourage each other. And then pray with one another and pray over each other for that purity and for that holiness of God to just cleanse us and transform us. God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday.